Welcome to a deep dive by the Quiet Footnote. You've handed us a really fascinating challenge today. L. David Marquet's book, Turn the Ship Around.
And it's way more than just a book about submarines, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's this deep look into leadership that kind of flips the whole traditional model on its head. Really powerful stuff.
So our mission today really is to pull out the absolute core ideas from this. What Marquet was getting at, the leadership myths, he just busts wide open.
Right, and why it's maybe more relevant now than ever, especially with AI changing things so fast, and hopefully leave you with some solid takeaways, maybe a new way of thinking about leading.
Marquet, he zeroed in on this ancient problem.
Right.
Why do really smart, capable people in, high-stakes jobs sometimes just act like they're waiting for instructions?
Yeah, like cogs in a machine. He saw two big gaps causing this. First, what he called the thinking bottleneck. Basically, one person at the top trying to make all the calls.
Which just slows everything down, obviously. Totally. And it stops everyone else from really developing their own judgment. That leads right into the second gap he saw.
Mm-hmm.
All that wasted potential.
The people lower down, the ones actually doing the work, often.
Exactly. They have the insights, the talent, maybe even the initiative, but the system kind of tells them, nope, just wait for orders. It's inefficient, sure, but it's also just a massive waste of human capability.
So instead of that old leader-follower thing, Marquet went for something pretty radical on the USS Santa Fe, which, let's be honest, was not exactly the star of the fleet at the time.
Not at all. He pushed for this leader model, a real shift from just giving orders to empowering every single sailor, giving them real agency, real accountability. It wasn't just talk, it was how they operated day in, day out.
In the absolute heart of it all, the thing that really kicked off the change was this tiny shift in language. Seems small, but it was huge.
The I intend to craze.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. This is where it gets super practical and I think really profound. So instead of a sailor saying, permission to submerge the ship, sir.
The standard way.
They started saying, sir, I intend to submerge the ship to 400 feet because we need to run this drill. Something like that. The because is important too, right?
Absolutely. It forces them to think through the why. But that core phrase, I intend to, it changes everything. It's not about asking permission to obey anymore.
It's about owning it.
Exactly. Yeah. Owning the decision, owning the responsibility. It's like this. Psychological switch flips. You can't really hide behind, I was just following orders, when you're the one stating the intent. It forces thinking, actual engagement, not just, compliance.
And it wasn't just about the crew changing their words. Marquet himself did something pretty bold right at the start. He admitted he didn't know everything.
Yeah, that must have raised some eyebrows. He basically said, look, I'm new to this specific subclass. You guys know the systems better than I do right now.
Which most leaders will probably try to bluff their way through, right? Fake it till you make it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Marquet used it. It wasn't weakness. It was like a strategic move. It instantly broke down that captain knows all myth.
Creates space for honesty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Honesty, collaboration, trust. His admission wasn't just, oh, poor me. It was the bedrock for the whole transformation. He turned not knowing into a way to build the team up, a real strength.
He also pushed this idea of thinking out loud, getting himself and his officers to actually say why they were making a decision, not just what the decision was.
Right, so not just turn left, but, okay, I intend to turn left because sonar shows X, and this keeps us safe while maintaining depth. Something along those lines.
And the point of that is?
It teaches everyone else the reasoning. Hearing the why lets others learn the thought process, not just memorize a command. It's like showing the recipe, not just serving the cake. It builds that shared expertise, makes the whole team smarter, more capable.
And he really fought against that whole hero-captain narrative, didn't he? No single savior.
Totally rejected it. No heroes, no martyrs, putting the ship on their shoulders. His goal wasn't actually to be indispensable. It was the opposite.
To make himself irrelevant.
In a way, yeah. To make the system work so well. To build up so many leaders within the crew that the ship would excel even without him needing to be involved in every little thing.
That's really countercultural. Most places seem to reward the leader who everyone depends on.
It really is. Think of it like gardening. You're not trying to be the tallest plant. You're trying to cultivate the whole garden so it thrives, even when you step back. It means checking your own ego at the door, which is not always easy.
But the results, they were pretty stunning. The Santa Fe went from being, frankly, the worst performer to the best.
Shattered records. But it wasn't just performance metrics. It became a place people wanted to be. Retention went through the roof. Morale was apparently amazing.
Other ships started sending people over just to see what they were doing.
Yeah, it became a kind of leadership lab. And the key thing, the real proof, is that the performance, the mindset, it stuck. It continued long after Marquet left. It wasn't just about him being there.
So we've hit on what he did, but just as important is what he kind of undid. These common leadership myths that he just demolishes. Like the first one. The best leaders give the best orders. Seems intuitive, right?
Seems like it, but Marquet turns it around. He'd argue if you're constantly having to give really specific orders for everything, maybe you haven't set things up right.
So the goal isn't better orders, but less need for them.
Exactly. The best leaders create an environment where orders are almost unnecessary because the team understands the goals, has the competence, and has the authority to act. Remember his mantra. The person doing the work should be the one making the decisions.
Because they have the best information.
Right there, on the ground. Push the decision-making out to the edges.
Okay, so that leads to myth number 2. Empowerment just means letting people do whatever they want, just letting them decide.
Yeah, that's a common trap. I'm empowering my team translates to I'm washing my hands of this. Marquet says no way. Handing over control without also building competence and ensuring clarity, that's a recipe for disaster.
Those 3 pillars again, control, competence, clarity, they have to go together.
Inseparable. You need all 3. You can't just delegate control into a vacuum. You have to build the skills and make the goals crystal clear first. It's enabling, not just abdicating.
Myth 3. Leaders have to know more than everyone else, the expert at the top. We kind of touched on this with his admission of ignorance.
Yeah, and his experience proves it wrong. His lack of specific technical knowledge on that sub forced him to rely on his crew's expertise. It shifted his role from being the technical guru to being the architect of the environment, the shaper of the culture.
So less expert in charge, more leader who enables experts.
Precisely. He became the expert on leadership, on creating leaders, not necessarily on every single valve and system.
Okay, myth 4. Motivation comes from perks and charisma. Pizza parties, bonuses, inspirational speeches.
The external stuff. Marquet argues that lasting motivation, the deep kind, comes from internal factors. Ownership, knowing your work matters. Mastery, getting better at what you do. And purpose, understanding the larger why.
So the I intend to model directly feeds that ownership piece.
Absolutely. When you own the decision, you own the outcome. That's powerful motivation, way more than a free slice of pizza.
Myth 5. Inspections and audits are just annoying distractions. Red tape, bureaucracy.
Everyone groans when the inspectors show up,
Yeah.
right? But Marquet flipped that script too. He saw them as basically free consulting.
Free coaching? How?
They're experts coming in to look at your systems with fresh eyes. Instead of trying to hide problems, you welcome them. Use their findings to get better. It builds this culture of, radical honesty and continuous improvement.
Okay, myth 6. Success means the leader becomes indispensable, the hero who holds it all together.
The opposite, according to Marquet. The real measure of your leadership success is how well your team performs when you're not there.
Oof, that's a tough one for the ego.
It is. But the indispensable leader is actually a bottleneck, a single point of failure. True success is building a team that thrives independently. Your legacy isn't you, it's the capability you build in others.
And the last one, myth 7. Big culture change takes ages. Years of planning, endless meetings.
Right, it feels like turning a battleship, slow and cumbersome. But Marquet showed that small, concrete actions like changing that one phrase, permission to I intend to, can start shifting the culture almost immediately.
Acting your way into a new way of thinking.
Exactly. Don't just plan forever. Start doing things differently, even small things, and the mindset follows. It's really a call to ditch that lone hero leader fantasy and build a whole crew of leaders.
It really is striking how these ideas forged, inside a steel tube underwater years ago feel so incredibly relevant right now. Why do you think they land so hard today?
Well, for starters, the world is just so complex now, right? Things change incredibly fast.
Yeah.
The old command and control style where everything funnels up to one person for a decision, it just can't keep pace.
It's too slow.
Way too slow. Marquet's model is built for speed because the decisions happen where the information is right at the front lines, closest to the action.
Like that engineer fixing a system crash you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Instead of waiting for approval cycles, the person who sees the problem and knows the tech says, I intend to deploy this fix because XYZ, and they just do it. It cuts through bureaucracy. It empowers action.
That quote of his comes to mind. The person with the information makes the decision.
because the person with the authority will never have all the information.
Yeah.
So true, especially now with data flying everywhere.
And think about the workforce itself. People are generally more educated, more specialized now. They expect and often demand more autonomy, don't they?
They do. And the old leader-follower model just frustrates that. It wastes talent. Marquet's approach taps into that desire for ownership, for contribution. It unlocks potential that's often just sitting dormant.
And for remote teams, seems
Yeah.
almost tailor-made.
Totally. When your team is spread out, you can't hover. You have to rely on trust, clear goals, and people taking initiative. The I intend to framework gives you that structure for asynchronous work. It builds trust because it demands competence and clarity.
Speaking of trust, it feels like it's in short supply generally these days, institutionally.
It does. So organizations that can genuinely build high trust internally, they have a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Marquet's system isn't just based on trust. It actively builds it every day through these interactions of control, competence, and clarity.
And what about innovation, creativity? Does that thrive under this model?
Well, think about it. Innovation rarely comes from just following orders. It comes from people seeing a problem or an opportunity and having the freedom, the expectation even, to try something new. Marquet's model basically says, we trust you to think and act. That unlocks creativity from everywhere, not just the designated innovators.
Okay, let's spin this forward. If Marquet were updating the book today, how would he handle AI when some of your crew aren't human?
That's a fantastic question. I think he definitely focused on that interface. How do you blend AI's speed and data processing with essential human judgment?
So not just accepting the AI's recommendation blindly.
Right. Maintaining clarity and competence means understanding why the AI suggests something, not letting it become an opaque black box. We still need humans in the loop, exercising critical thinking, owning the final decision, even if AI informs it.
And maybe the human elements become even more important.
I think so. Psychological safety, for example. In a world where AI is changing jobs and creating uncertainty, leaders need to double down on creating environments where people feel safe to ask questions, raise concerns, even make mistakes as they adapt.
And things like dealing with AI-generated misinformation or ensuring diverse human perspectives are still valued.
Absolutely. Decentralized authority, where more people are empowered to think critically and voice intent, might actually be a strong defense against misinformation taking hold, and it naturally elevates more voices, promoting inclusion.
So it's like the core principles, control, competence, clarity, they still hold, maybe even more so, but they need to be applied thoughtfully in this new human plus AI environment.
Exactly. The fundamental need to empower human thinking and judgment doesn't go away. It just gets reframed.
Okay, let's boil this down. If someone listens to this and only remembers 5 things from Marquet, what should they be?
All right, 5 key takeaways. First, control belongs where the information lives. Push decisions down and out to the people who actually know what's going on.
Got it.
Second, competence is the price of autonomy. You can't just give control. You have to relentlessly train and develop people so they can make good decisions. Empowerment requires enablement.
Makes sense. Third.
Clarity creates alignment without micromanagement. If everyone deeply understands the why, the purpose, the goals, the principles, they can navigate independently towards the objective.
Number 4, the language thing.
Yep. Small language shifts change culture fast. That simple switch from asking permission to stating intent, I intend to, it's a powerful lever. It signals and builds ownership almost instantly.
And the big one, the ego check. Number 5.
The leader's job is to make themselves unnecessary. Sounds harsh, maybe, but the ultimate success is a team that excels without you constantly intervening. Build capability in others. That's the legacy.
So the one-sentence summary might be, Captain takes the Navy's worst sub, flips the leadership model to leader-leader, empowers everyone to think and act, and turns it into the best.
That covers the plot, yeah. But underneath all the mechanics, the procedures, there's this deeper human message, I think.
Which is?
That real change isn't just about tweaking processes. It's about fundamentally shifting how we relate to control, how we exercise trust, and frankly, how we manage our own egos as leaders.
Yeah, reading it again for this, that really jumped out at me too. This connection between creativity and ownership. It's almost blindingly obvious when he lays it out. You can't command brilliance, can you?
Nope. You can't order innovation. It has to come from people feeling trusted, empowered, like their contribution matters beyond just following the steps.
And it really challenges that inner control freak, doesn't it? That instinct many leaders have to keep things tight, oversee everything.
Which often comes from fear, right? Fear of mistakes, fear of losing control. Marquet shows that trust, while riskier up front, unlocks so much more potential. You have to be okay with people doing things differently than you might have, maybe even better.
And letting go of being the hero, the indispensable one, that feels like the core transformation, maybe even more for Marquet himself than for the crew.
I think you're right. The book is almost a quiet argument against the heroic leadership myth.
Yeah.
It's saying you don't have to know it all. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Your job is to create the conditions for others to be brilliant. That's where the real leverage is.
Yeah. It makes me think about leadership less like conducting an orchestra where I dictate every note,
Hmm.
and more like teaching everyone else how to conduct. Which means, yeah, the final piece might sound different than I originally imagined, but maybe that unexpected version, the one the team creates together, is actually the better one, the one that sticks.
That's a great way to put it. So turn the ship around.
Yeah.
It's not just a manual, is it? It's more like a blueprint for rethinking how control, competence, and clarity work together in any kind of team.
So the question for you listening is, how does this land in your world? What could I intend to look like in your work, your projects, maybe even just your own personal goals?
Where could you push control down? Where could you build more competence? How could you bring more clarity? How could you maybe cultivate more ownership and less dependence around you?
And it may be the most provocative thought Marquet leaves us with. What would it genuinely look like if your team, your project, your family, whatever it is, could achieve excellence without you needing to be constantly involved?
What would that take? And perhaps more importantly, what would it take for you to truly let go and empower that to happen?
Something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep thinking, keep leading, and keep exploring.